All right, without further ado, I am really excited about our keynote. We decided to do something a little different in the spirit of interactiveness. We have John Sweeney, who's here with us. He's a comedian and a corporate trainer. And we've asked him to kind of set the stage for us to building a mindset of innovation, kind of opening up things for us and trying to look at things differently as we absorb and take in this content. John has worked with 126 of the Fortune 500 companies. He's worked with Facebook, Hilton, a lot of the great name brands that we know out there. And we've actually called for references, and they could not say enough good things about him. So we're really lucky to have him here. He's written 4 books. And in addition, the thing that really sealed the deal for us, and he's going to show it to you, is his video. It's hysterical when he was on the Today Show. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming John Sweeney.
Keep it going. Come on, we got to get the energy going. Clap, clap, clap. Woo-hoo. Remember, I'm a comedian, which means I'm really, really insecure and broken, so you have to keep feeding me with kind of insincere appreciation just to keep me going. I'm always usually introduced as, we were going to do something different this year, which always makes me feel in need of more therapy, because I'm clearly just outside the data pool of normality. I'm going to challenge you a little bit this morning with 3 challenges and hopes, too, I guess. The first is that after we're done today, that you really understand what your personal mindset is, what the definition of it is, but really what yours is. The second is that you've kind of had maybe a change of heart or mind about how important mindset is in relation to being productive or collaborative or innovative, that it really plays perhaps a different role than we consider it to play. And then third is that as a person of service, a person of community, a person of this planet, that you've made some sort of commitment to yourself and to others that you're going to define the best mindset for you, and then you're going to practice the behaviors on a regular basis to stay in that mindset, to be able to better serve yourself and your team and your customers in this world. So those are the 3 hopes that I have for today. We're going to use improvisational comedy as a metaphor. And so to do that, we'll go through some of our jargon, and one of our jargon terms is declaration. It's really how we start our scenes. And remember, the metaphor of improvisation is really that we understand the voice of customer, because we ask 204 people at our theater who are mildly intoxicated what they'd like us to build for them on stage. And they yell out really predictable things like, Hillary and Trump fixing healthcare in a canoe naked in Antarctica, or whatever the hell they'd say that night, right? And then instantly, we have to find a way to collaborate, innovate, and deliver a product that can wow them more than what they can get on their phone for free. And that's a big challenge lately. The theater that I own, my wife and I bought it 21 years ago, but it's the nation's oldest comedy theater. And you can imagine how our industry has changed as far as being able to attract a customer to come out of their house, drive downtown, find parking, pay $35 when they can also stay at home, take out their iPad, and find some really, really free and funny stuff. And so we'll use that metaphor, and declaration is how we start our scenes, right? How we begin to build. And remember, our production cycle from the time we hear voice of customer till we deliver that product is about 2 to 3 minutes. And we have no ability to predict what the customer wants at any given time, and we have to create something innovative very, very fast. So that's why the declaration is so important. I also think it's really important when a group wants to collaborate or innovate together as an ensemble. So the declaration really just says, on our stage, it says, here's who I am, here's my point of view, and here's the role I'll play, and here's what I'd like to contribute to the building. And then everyone on the stage does that. And we try to get that done, if there's 4 of us on stage, we try to get that done in the first 17 to 20 seconds, which means you have to be really, really good at declaring your point of view. And we get really good at the kind of semantics of it to be able to tell ourselves and our team and the audience who we are, where we are, what our point of view is, and what we want to accomplish. So we're going to work together today, so I'd like to declare some of the points of view of where I am today. The first is I'm grateful. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to you. I'm kind of a bold person, I guess, sometimes to a fault, and so I get how it works. It's not as complicated as people think. You paid money to be here. Sponsors paid money to advertise their name. That money goes in a bank account, and some of that money got paid to me. And then I'll take that money and I'll put it in our bank account, and I'll try to pay the 86 people that work at the Brave New Workshop every single week. So on behalf of all of them, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the business. We're a small theater. Thank you. We're a small theater, and we don't use any grant money or tax money, and so we try to run self-sustaining. I'm also very grateful in a very personal way, because the first 21 years of my life were spent on a dairy farm south of Madison, Wisconsin. And so today, I woke up with the exact same thought I've had since I left that farm, and that is, I will not have to milk a cow all day long. And you get a different point of view when you live on a dairy farm, because this kind of sense of life balance is different for us. For 26 years as a family, we always had the luxury of being able to take 4 days off per year. And then our neighbors would milk our cows during those 4 days, and then when we came back, we would milk their cows. If you don't milk a cow in about 17 or 18 hours, she'll get mastitis, and you'll have to call the vet, and sometimes that costs more than what the cow's worth and all that sort of stuff. So the truth is, you just can't ever stop working. And so when your grandfather dies, you milk twice a day. On Christmas, you milk twice a day. On your birthday, you milk twice a day. You always milk twice a day. We've had some fun weather lately in where I come from, and so it was 30 below 3 days in a row. And I kept thinking, because everyone was closing schools and buying food and making sure their Range Rover started, and all my friends were just back milking. And you have to put fans on the pipes because they'll freeze, because there's no heat in barns. You rely on the body heat of the cows. So I tell you that because I'm grateful as hell. I had really good free food. I've had like 6 pots of coffee. It's just awesome. It's a great place. This humility is another point of view. I've done my best to understand your industry, individually, what you do, all the different roles that you can play, and I'm halfway there. I kind of understand it. I don't know if I can really articulate it. It's some high, intelligent, quick stuff. The way I was thinking about this morning is, if all of us were in a college class today, I would be the reason why the bell curve would work. Because you really need to anchor it in those solid 7 and 8 percentile scores. And so today I don't have anything to tell you. I'd like to share some stuff, and I hope that it helps you. I hope it helps you have a better conference. I hope it helps you have a better experience when you get back to work. And I hope in general it just makes you your best self. And that's going to take energy. I did the corporate world for about 6 years out of college, and then I got into comedy. And I wish I would have learned a little bit more about theater and comedy before I started work. Because what it taught me is that the soft skills in life, how we interact, how we present, the energy that we have at any given moment is not just a nice to have, let's show up at work, lean in, all that sort of stuff. It's not. It's a necessity. It's part of the distribution channel. It's an ingredient to how we build the quality of our products. And I know that now because I spend my time up in here. What it looks like in our theater is, if our actors show up at about a 5 out of 10 level, because maybe they've had something happen in their day or they've got a cold or something, and they kind of phone it in, well, we're Minnesotans, so we'll politely clap for them and ask them if they need soup or something. But we won't give them a standing ovation. But if those same people do the exact same things for the same audience and just turn up the energy, standing ovation every single night. So I'd like to ask you for that energy, and it doesn't have to be in my style, it can be in your style, but we've got a limited amount of time together today, and I'd love you to put as much energy as you can into this, because especially with what we're going to do, it will really affect the productivity of what you get out of it. So there's the theater. It's in downtown Minneapolis. We're starting a new show actually this week. We write and rehearse 4 new shows a year. The one that's opening up this week is called Love, Romance, and Other Social Diseases. And we're the oldest comedy theater in the United States, and we do political and social satire. We've got a different mission statement than you, probably. Ours is promiscuous hostility, positive neutrality. So we've been building market share by pissing off Minnesotans one show at a time for 61 years. And if you've been in Minnesota, you realize that's very easy. Just have a conversation about politics, sex, religion, anything, and someone will get offended. So that's where the theater is. You probably would know it most by the fact that Saturday Night Live is based on our theater, the show Saturday Night Live. Al Franken and Tom Davis were taken off our stage to go start that show. So pretty social, uncensored, kind of R-rated satire. And we do that every single day, every single week. We were founded by a circus performer, and we haven't missed a weekend since May 10th of 1958, and as long as I'm around, we won't. So that's our little theater, and then I spend all of my time taking this improvisational metaphor and the behaviors that allow improvisers to work so well together and to provide innovation for their customers fast. I've taken that and brought that to some of the best workplaces in the world, and some of the things I'll share with you are just things that I've learned from our clients. So this is the basic premise of what we do, and it won't be startling. You've probably seen this before. At work, in our lives, we really have three things that we can draw to affect how much we'll get done, how well it'll get done, and how well we work together. The first is the tools that we have. You guys are really familiar with those because you're using some of the most advanced tools that we have in the world. This kind of artificial intelligence that's on the horizon, all this stuff, that's the tools we use to do our jobs. Everyone knows what they are. We talk to lots of different industries, so sometimes that tool is a piece of software, sometimes that tool is a scalpel, sometimes that tool is a paintbrush. And so the tools are very, very important. And underneath those, we have to have the skills to be able to use those tools. And those are really specific, and most importantly, they're usually metricable. We can somehow judge how good we can use these skills, and we certify people, and we get degrees in those skills, and they're tangible. But underneath those, we believe is the most important of the three. It certainly is at least 1/3 of the equation, and we think it's foundational, and the other two kind of are affected by it, and that's the mindset. And so today we'll kind of focus on that. We'll focus on how can our mindset actually not be this soft skill, mysterious, nice to have, kumbaya thing. What if it's looked at as an essential part of our jobs, of our lives? And what if we decided that the mindset is actually just created by us, and specifically by what we practice each and every moment of our lives? And you'll see that's exactly how it's created. And so I'll challenge you today to kind of ask yourself, how important is your mindset? And we know the neurology. It's the lens at which we look at the next situation in our life, the next moment. So with that definition, it's truly important. And then we also know how it's developed. The brain creates mindset by simply rewinding all the things it's done before and focusing on the ones that it's done well. And so we'll focus on this. You've got lots and lots of skills. I can tell you that what I've seen over the years as far as where this gets paid attention to in the business world, especially in large organizations, is that the top two get most of the energy. The top two definitely get most of the budget. And that's because we can prove ROI. We can say if we have this new tool, it will increase productivity, and therefore the CEO or the CFO can say it's worthy of budgeting. And then the second one, we can prove that if 30% of our folks are Six Sigma, then we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and we can kind of have that argument, and therefore the CFO can budget. But it's really hard to say, can you throw some money at mindset? Because I know we're going to make more money around here. It's a very, very hard thing to metric. We're getting better at it. There's lots of science looking into it right now. But I'd just ask you to at least focus 1/3 of your time on that mindset. Because you're building your mindset right now. The level of energy you have creates your mindset. The sun coming in from that window creates the mindset. Who you're sitting next to creates that mindset. But you are, moment after moment after moment after moment, having your brain or you choose what mindset you will look at the next moment. And so the only way you can affect that is to also choose what you want to practice. And we all know that we can kind of extrapolate this and think of people in our lives that really prove it. My mother would be one of those. 92 years young, raised 8 kids on a dairy farm, went through lots of financial problems. We're Irish Catholic. That's all I have to say. Went through lots of other problems. We tend to drink and argue and accidentally get pregnant every decade in our family, so that's great. And so she went through a lot of hard times. The situations, the circumstances in her life were difficult. But she made the behavioral choice to be optimistic, to be generous, to be compassionate, to be positive. And so now when you meet her at age 92, she's like she has been for the last 92 years. She's positive, she's grateful, she's optimistic. She is what she practiced. And I'll just ask us to be cognizant of what we're going to practice, both today for the rest of the conference, and then as we go out to really make some decisions about what we practice. This is the little kind of diagram we use, and it's a teeter-totter, right? It's a scale. It just kind of illustrates that if we practice things like checking out or criticizing or having low energy, then that will lead to a mindset of that. We are what we practice. And so if we decide that we want to practice other things, then that will lead to a mindset that will accomplish that. So in the book we wrote, based on our clients, we chose 5 really simple behaviors that seem to be leading up to an innovative mindset. Now, if you're trying to work on a really good leadership mindset or a collaboration mindset, then you would kind of rearrange the behaviors and practice that. But it's as simple as our mindset is just what we practice. So today we'll practice some of those things, to listen better, to declare our point of view, to reframe things into being usable, to defer judgment, to reduce hesitation, all those things that we do as human beings. And so not only are we going to practice them, but we're going to practice them in a very specific way, because this is through our research with the University of Minnesota. How we practice and almost the mindset we're in during practice really affects how potent that practice will be when it comes to giving our mindset. The first is we have to be humble. We have to say, okay, I've been doing this way for a while, and it's working pretty good. I mean, we've got lots and lots of successful people in this room. And yet today I'm going to examine how my mindset is and be humble enough to say I could do better. Maybe I could define a mindset that would allow me to be more innovative, more collaborative, but I can do better. And I'm humble enough to be able to learn how I can do that. Here's the bad news, and it's probably the biggest news that we found in the last 5 years with our research. Your brain is going to say no, 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 no. It is not going to want you to change your mindset. It is not going to want you to embrace change. It is not going to want you to take risks that lead to innovation. And that's because its very, very simple function is to keep us safe. It just does that in a very binary, simple way. It says, here's the next thing that I may have to do. Have I done it before successfully or not? And that's as simple as it gets. And that's what happens every single millisecond of our lives. Let's create an example for us to see if it's true today. In about 5 minutes, all of us are going to stand up, create groups of 6, and do mildly emotionally revealing, interactive, improvisational exercises for more than a half hour. Yay, I heard yay. Did you feel some other stuff in the room, though? Like there were people thinking, why didn't I schedule that root canal for this morning? Because that would be a hell of a lot more fun than doing improv. I saw people seeing if they could get their phones to ring, and they go, I got a kid thing. I got to go, right? And so many of you may have had the reaction that says, ugh, I paid a bunch of money to come to Austin and do improv exercises? I didn't sign up for that, right? Many of us might have had the reaction that for some reason, this isn't a good thing to do. We gave it a general thumbs down. So data, perhaps, is the most important thing to your industry as far as quality data equals quality output. I'll challenge everyone in this room who had any sort of negative reaction to what I said. I'd like to challenge you to ask yourself, what data are you using? Because I'm the only one in the room that knows what we're going to do. None of you really know exactly what we're going to do. Maybe you have some connotations of improv, or you were in a play in 8th grade and everyone yelled at you or something. Maybe that's coming up. But the truth is you don't have any real accurate data, not enough data to make a choice about whether it's good or bad, because you don't know what it is. And I tell you that because that's what the brain's going to do. If something is unknown, if it's ambiguous, if it involves other people that we haven't met and worked with a lot, our brain will say, I'm pretty sure you shouldn't do this. And that's its default mindset. It's its default mindset of safety and fear. And thank goodness, because it keeps us from walking in front of a bus or jumping off a cliff or those sort of things. But unfortunately, it doesn't do a very good job of really collecting data and then choosing what mindset we should have when it comes to collaboration, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to risk-taking. Let's further that example. Many of you just had kind of a thumbs down to, we're going to do improv. But almost everyone in this room, in the next couple of weeks at least, will put themselves in a 1,500-pound vehicle going 70 miles an hour with a car on each side simultaneously going 70 miles an hour. 2 of those cars will be texting. One's an old lady who can't see over the roof or the dashboard, and the other one may be drunk. But that's really, really safe. As a matter of fact, let's do it twice a day. Let's create an entire society on commuting. And then let's throw some emotion and some urgency in it and give us devices where we can be distracted. That is safe as hell. Let me give you the numbers. Number for driving a car is 107. 107 people died in the United States of America last year per day in automobile accidents. 107 deaths per day. So 107 will die today. Someone's dying as we speak in a car accident. But that's super, super safe. Let me give you the numbers for improv. 0. No one has ever died doing one of these exercises. We had 2 pregnancies, but that was in the late 60s, and there was drugs involved, and people were different there. It was the love generation, right? I tell you that because I have decided, and you'll have to decide on your own, my brain isn't the most effective tool or source of decision-making for me to use when it comes to the next moment of innovation, the next moment of collaboration, and most importantly, the next moment of humanity. Because the thing that the brain seems to be almost most frightened of is a new person, especially if they have a different point of view. If they have a different point of view, if we don't know they're going to affirm what we want, then it seems really, really risky to our brain. And so that's why sometimes it takes the second night of the conference for us to feel comfortable enough to start interacting. And I just say, let's choose differently. Let's start this morning. Let's know that we've only got a couple of days and we've got this entire industry represented. And if we decide to have a mindset of collaboration, we will make new friends, we will learn new things, we will find new business opportunities, and we will be better as an individual, a company, and as an industry if we activate the collaboration in this room faster than slower. And that's just simply a choice. And so I'd like to ask you to be uncomfortable, because your brain is the reason why you'll be uncomfortable. And it's not drastic uncomfortable, but it's usually enough to say, I'm probably not going to walk across the room and introduce myself. I might not be active on the social media for the conference. I don't know, I'm just going to go back to my room. There's something great on Netflix, right? And so your brain just kind of doesn't want you to do it. So why would we? Why would I stand in front of you and ask you to create a situation many times in your day that would make you uncomfortable? Well, we know for innovation you have to. You have to have that kind of math of collaboration. But for me, it's really simple. It's for the sake of others. If you believe in the mission of the place that you work, if you believe in the mission of this organization, that it helps your customers, that it helps this world, then I think you have to activate a mindset that allows you to do that in your best self. And so I'd like to ask you to be uncomfortable for the sake of others. Be uncomfortable for the sake of others. That's uncomfortable. To look at, it's not up there. If you could put my slide up, that would make them squirm. There we go. Yeah, that's not fun to watch. We don't show that slide right after lunch very often, because that's me. And so you might feel uncomfortable, but trust me, I'm really uncomfortable right now. And so I'll show you the video that goes with this, which is even more uncomfortable to watch, and I'll give you the quick story. We work with about 6 professional sports teams across the world. We help them activate their audiences and create a mindset of a super fan. What we do is we kind of give the audience a chance to have fun in spite of the team. Because the one thing our clients have in professional sports in common is that all of them really suck at the games that they play. They're horrible. They're so bad that they hire us to come in and have the ability to distract the audience from the team, right? This one was for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're a professional basketball team. They're really, really horrible. They could write a book on how to consistently lose in the NBA. They went 14 years without ever seeing the light of a playoff game. And they asked us to do something at a game that would engage their audience and try to get them excited. And so we said yes. And we thought we were done with that. And that was before the internet. So it was mildly popular. We were on the Today Show. It was fun. But it went away for good reasons, because it's not very comfortable to watch. And then about 4 years ago, they brought their best player back, and they said, Kevin Garnett's coming back to the team. Would you come back and dance? And of course I said, no. I've never typed no so much in my life. But they asked if I would do it, and they said that they wanted to kind of bring back that energy. So I asked if my sons could be involved. They said yes, and so we decided to do it. And so what happened went a little bit different than we thought, and we're at 11 million hits as of this morning. So relax and fight through this. That was all set up. Those are our actors. You can fool all the people all the time. And then a bunch of years later, we did it again.
Keep this energy going. It is time for you to show us your moves. Let's see your dance moves. What do you got?
So there's a rule of 3 in comedy to have content, pause, punchline. So here's the first piece of content. They recognized me from the old video. They knew I was in the house. They started to get excited. But clearly, I'm way too dignified to do that. The kid in the back, I don't know what the hell's wrong with him. He's ill-medicined, I think. So now you go away and you build a little anticipation.
Can we go back?
And you come back.
Can we go back there?
Apparently they want me to dance, but they realize it's just not going to happen. But my sons, perhaps. Why don't you guys take over? But at age 50, I'm not going to do that ever again. So then we go away again and try to build a little bit of anticipation and maybe some awkwardness. And then we come back for the punchline, and we realize that although I don't want to dance, for some reason, if they play an Usher song, I simply don't have a choice.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So that was all rehearsed. We knew that was going to happen. But we didn't think one of the grumpiest guys in the NBA was actually going to fall in love with Jiggly Boy that day. I love you too, Kevin. So I knew I had his attention and I tried to keep him going. He gave me a little heart and he also called me a crazy mother something. He's a mother something. So I show you that. Thank you, yeah. Again, youngest of 8, Irish Catholic family. My mother's so grateful she spent her life trying to get me a college education. It really made her proud. I show you that because we're not going to do anything that's even in that universe of uncomfortableness. And I wanted to show you that I'm also willing to be uncomfortable. And I'm unwilling to be uncomfortable to get a laugh, but also for the sake of others. So we didn't know that thing was going to explode. We got 1 million hits in the first day. And so as soon as I realized we had something, I did the same thing I do every morning at my home and at my company. I asked 2 questions. What can we build? Who can we help? What can we build? Who can we help? That's what you're doing all day long on an improv stage. You're asking, what can I build and who can I help? So we just translate that into life. And so I called everyone I knew, and in 48 hours, we launched jigglyboy.com. People volunteered web development, PR, marketing. They were just awesome. And the reason we developed jigglyboy.com is because you can go there, and I hope you do, and there's a big button that says donate. And if you donate, the money goes right into the PayPal account of Smile Network International. And that is an organization that helps do cleft palate surgeries for kids who can't smile in third world countries. And as of this morning, we're at 291 surgeries have been funded through that website. So if you really want to help people, thank you. Apparently, you just have to take off your shirt and be overweight. It's the best way. That's my philanthropic goal, is to just dance more. So we are going to do some exercises. They're going to be mildly uncomfortable on purpose. We talk about being comfortable being uncomfortable. When I was a younger man, I used to think the key to life is to create a life where you're not uncomfortable. Just make choices that have circumstances that won't bring anything that's uncomfortable. And then I realized if I want to do something worthwhile, certainly if I wanted to be innovative, that was just inherently going to contain uncomfortable moments. So then I switched gears. Then I said, you know what I need to do? I need to get really good at being uncomfortable. Because then I can thrive in that innovation, that messy, that human, that sometimes failing place that is improving this world. And so I ask you to embrace being a little bit uncomfortable, and I promise I won't stretch you too far. We also know that human beings have that line, right? When you get too frightened, then your learning stops, and you're just kind of in that survival mode, so we won't even get close to that. So the first one we're going to do is going to kind of prove how this brain works, and we're going to do the first industry collaboration of the event. I'd like you to make sure that you have at least 6 people at your table, and if you're sitting at a table that doesn't have 6 people, figure that out. Move or have them come to you, but every table has to have 6, and I know you can do this. Go ahead and make tables of 6. All right, now that we've proved that this industry can create itself in tables of 6, let's everybody stand up, please. And if one person at each table could volunteer to go first, that would be great. Trust me, you'll be excited in the end that you did. So someone will go first. Raise your hand if you're going to go first at your table. Thank you. So here's how this one works. It's super, super simple. I'm going to give that person who raised their hand a topic, and they're going to give you 5 ideas or answers about that topic. Every time they come up with an idea, the table is going to act as a positive culture, and they're going to count. So it's going to be idea. Table's going to say 1. Idea. Table says it's going to be 2. And these should go pretty fast, right? And then we're going to go around the circle. So the first person, I'd like you to give your table the names of 5 states in the United States of America. Go ahead and give them those names. Be sure to count. Awesome. So I've been doing, I know you like samples. I've been doing that one for about 18 years, and we're at about 2,500 groups that I've done it with. And I'll give you a couple observations from that sample. The first is, in this first one, at least half of the groups forget to count. And that's really kind of indicative of how we collaborate as human beings. We put all of our focus and maybe all of the pressure on that idea generator. And we forget that actually one of the most important roles we can play is part of this positive culture, which makes everyone feel safer, which makes everyone come up with more ideas. So be sure to count, okay? Next person to the left, please give your table the names of 5 countries in Europe, 5 European countries. All right, next person to the left. Also an observation, the person who's now knows they're going to go next may be trying to predict what I'm going to ask. That's the brain saying, I'd like to be safer if I knew what's going to happen. The person who's after them is just scared as hell. They don't know what the hell's going on, right? So the next person to the left, 5 cars. Please state the names of 5 cars. Awesome. Next person to the left, please tell your table the names of 5 books that you have read. All right. Couple of observations on that one. I want you to be aware of 2 things on that last one. Number 1 is when we ask people to come up with books, it takes 20 to 30 times longer than states. Okay, so remember that. And then the other thing I like to remember is your state of mind about 9 minutes ago when I told you that you were going to do improvisational exercises. And you didn't know if they were going to be great. Well, this is what they are. And so we have a room full of people who are laughing and clapping and not dying. And so I tell you, yoo-hoo, you're doing it. Way to survive. But remember that not only today, but as you're stretching yourself, keep telling your brain, you know what, brain? I'm not going to listen to you much, brain. I'm actually going to base it on what's best for the innovation, best for the organization, best for the industry, best for the planet. So those 4 questions, I've asked them pretty similarly. In general, I made the assumption that most people in the room were born and educated in this country, so that's why I chose states. First, I want that question to be information that's in a file folder that's very, very easy to access. Just really quick information. We've learned them in school. We see them on the news. We see them on license plates. We travel. States is pretty easy. Second question, European countries. We got a little bit of a groan. It's a pretty educated group. Sometimes we get a pretty big groan. A couple weeks ago, someone said, "Is there 5 European countries?" I said, "I think so." The reason it usually gets a groan is because people think it's a different question. As a matter of fact, they think it's a more difficult question. So that's why the reaction to that question often is, "How come she got states? Huh? We're at the same pay scale and she got the easy one. What's going on around here? Why do I always get the tough questions? Why does that guy hate me asking me for countries," right? It's the same question. It's exactly the same question. Please identify the names of 5 specific geographical regions on this planet. And you knew both of them. Everyone knows 5 states, everyone knows 5 European countries. But you've practiced, if you're American, the states more often. You've said them more often. So it actually emotionally feels like it's an easier question. Just remember that. Because remember, none of these questions that I just asked you so far took any imagination, creativity, or innovation. They were just data pulls, simple data pulls. Every question had the answer in the database, sorted it, pulled it, verbalized it. No need to do anything but that. Third question was cars, right? Usually what happens is half the audience thinks that I asked for makes of cars, so you'll hear Dodge, Chrysler, Maserati, Subaru, BMW. 50% think I asked for models, so you'll hear Accord, S-Series, F-150. Well, the truth is I didn't ask for either, but you can see how what your brain in the mindset of fear wants to do, and that is narrow the possibilities as fast and as big as we can, and what it's narrowing to is absolute success. I'm going to say Ford because I own one and I see it on TV. It's got to be a car. So I know I'm going to get an A at this really, really important and really difficult test of naming cars. Your brain did that for you. So that's okay if you chose to narrow the data pool. But here's why sometimes it would be better to maybe not be in that mindset. Because I was looking for innovative answers, creative answers, like cars, the Batmobile, a 56 blue Mustang convertible, my first car after college. Those would have been interesting. Those would have created the conversation and story. But that's not where your brain or my brain will go first. It'll go to reliable, repeatable, correct. So please know that. That's just a neurological fact. And don't fool yourself that if you don't choose to do something different, you will. You won't do something different. You do that every time. Then we heard books. We got a big groan in this audience, which we do every single time. At first I thought, why are we marketing to the non-readers in this world? Why are they so upset about the books? So we had the university come in and do a little research there. It's the first question that I asked that could be associated with you. And what we did is we started asking audiences 5 books. Boom, 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 boom. 5 books that you've read. And you saw the people struggle. They're like looking up at the sky. They're thinking, it's tough because your brain goes into, if I say 50 Shades of Grey 3 times, they're going to start talking. I mean, your Twitter's going to light up tonight, but they're going to judge you, right? It's what it thinks. I had one the other day, and the woman was up on stage, and it was a large audience of about 1,000 people, and she was really nervous, and she goes, the Bible. And everyone was like, amen, God is good, the Bible, right? And then later in the evening, when she was intoxicated, and I knew she was intoxicated because she referred to me as Mr. Man, Mr. Man, I just want to let you know I've never read the Bible. I was like, yeah, I kind of thought that. I kind of showed that in your body. I thought you were, and don't worry, we're not judgmental here, but I'm Catholic, so just know that you use the Word of God to lie in public in front of your coworkers. So you better get your ass to church, right? The truth is, we get in a different place. And yet, when we ask each other in our teams for insights, for how do you feel, for what's your opinion, we never build a project management model that includes 20 to 30 times more time than we're asking them for data pulls. And I'm not saying we can afford 20 to 30 times on any project, but we should at least consider that if you ask someone their opinion, it might take them longer because they're going through a different process than pulling data. Now let's really kind of see what that process looks like. Next person to the left, you are the CEO of a toy company. Please tell your table the names of 5 toys that we have never, ever heard of. 5 new toy names. All right, everybody done? Almost? We're at 3. Awesome, okay, clap that out even if we didn't get 5 yet. This is a room full of really intelligent, really educated, really innovative people. And you saw how long that took. And you felt the tension in the room. We also forgot to count again because we're all so scared of, oh my God, do we have to do a market research to see what the name, how the toy name will, work? We got in our heads is what we say. We got in our heads. And so let me explain again how this is going to work. I'm going to give you a topic. You're going to say whatever the hell comes to your head and just spit it out really quickly. And these wonderful people that you collaborate who love you are going to go, 1. That's the rules of this game. It might not be the rules of life or how you work, but for this game, you simply come up with any 5 ideas that are somehow underneath that umbrella and have the courage to verbalize them. And I hope that where we are right now as a group, we're not going to ever argue again about the difference between asking someone for a new idea and pulling data. Because you just saw what it looks like. What's happening? This mindset of perfection, this mindset of I don't want to fail. All that stuff's going on, and we're just asking for made-up, imaginary toy names. And no one's going to get judged about that. Next person on the left, how about the names of 5 new rock and roll bands that we've never ever heard? 5 new band names. Awesome. So a couple things. I don't know if I heard it today, but I hear it at least 80% of the time. Good job, 5. Woo! I often hear people say the words, I can't think of anything. And it's 1 right here. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. I can't think of anything. Wow! They're a speed metal bluegrass band. I don't know why they are. Here's what it just kind of gets me going because A, you can think of anything. You could take any 1, 2, 3, or 4 words from whatever language you choose and say them, and that would be the name of the band. So please don't use the word can't. If you use the word can't in our home, no matter what the weather is, no matter what you're wearing, you have to run a lap around the house because it's just not allowed in our house. We just don't say the word can't. It doesn't further anything. And the truth is, you can. Rock and roll bands, carpet chairs, 1, circular lights, 2, baby diapers, 3. You could think of anything and say it for this game, but your brain wouldn't let you. So if you want to say something like, or it feels like I can't, just simply say, I haven't practiced that behavior enough, and so I'm feeling uncomfortable because I have a healthy brain. Because that's what's actually happening. But everyone in this room can make up some band names. Let's go through. If we really want to take the sample of successful band names, they're really complicated. Let's see, something that we usually step on and kill. The Beatles. They've sold some albums. I heard an interview with Bono. They asked him how they came up with the name U2. His answer was, we were on a 3-day bender. So they were drunk for 3 days, and that's how they came up with their name. So please don't tell me in an improvisational game you have to come up with perfect band names. We're just practicing how you can start to retrain your brain. Next person to the left, please, 3 action movies, the names of action movies that you'd like to star in. Brand new action movie titles. Go ahead, rip them off. All right. Awesome. We want to make sure we're going to stick to the time here, so we're going to go to the next exercise real quick. Stay in your circles. This one is you're going to build something. You're going to build something together. What you're going to build is a story. For this first time, you're only going to be able to build it one word at a time. And you'll start with once upon a time to get you going, okay? You can only say one word. It's actually a listening exercise. Just figure out what the group needs, what the story needs, and add one word that furthers it. Try to let go of your need to have the story be your story. You mathematically cannot make that happen. You only have one word, and you're only 1/6 of the team. So think about serving the story instead of serving your ego, okay? That's just how the brain works. This first story is going to be about the time that the 6 of you or your group at your table decided to go whitewater rafting together. Go ahead and tell that story. Once upon a time. All right, clap that out. We'll end that story there. We're going to do another one. If for some reason in that exercise, if for some reason when it came to you and the person before you said a word that you weren't expecting, you may have had the reaction of, "What the hell did you just say?" It's the only word you could say that leaves me with no options of words. That's a dead-end word. We needed a simple conjunction, and you got all verby on this shit. Okay? That's your brain saying, what's happening right now was unpredictable, and I didn't expect it. It's not that there's not any words, because guess what? The other 5 people are all going, I got like 30 words you can say right now. What are you so freaked about? Judgy Van Judge a lot? Like, the brain doesn't like unexpected. You're not even arguing with the content. Your brain is just arguing with the fact that it didn't have enough time to prepare, and it may have been different than it already, because that's the other thing we do, right? As it's going around the circle, you're like, oh, Jack and Jill went up the Titanic? Why did you say Titanic? So it's unpredictable. Now you can say about a sentence. The first person will say once upon a time, then the next person will say a sentence, then the next person will say a sentence. It'll be a lot easier. That grammar of one word is tough. This time it's going to be about the time that you all decided to build an experimental plane together. Go ahead and try that story. Once upon a time. Awesome. Clap that one out. Good job. We'll do one more. Some of the observations we have in that round very often, some of the observations we have are, oh, I don't know much about avionics, so I'm probably not going to be able to contribute. I've never built a plane before, so I don't know what to say. We also find the brains really, really sticking to physics on that one. It has to be an accurate description of how to build a plane. So let me relieve you of that. You're creating a story. The best stories in our life don't really play with physics or logic or what's supposed to be. We like things that are fantasy. So allow yourself to go beyond logic and linear. That's what great storytellers do. And by the way, that's what innovation is. To find something that is different than what already exists, better, improved, or sometimes drastically different. So I'd like you to kind of embrace that. And I'll give you the magic of improvisation. It's 2 words. Yes and. If you've ever taken an improv class, that's the first thing you remember. Yes says, I'm going to accept the current state that I'm in. For our world, it's the staff, the market, my leadership, our budget, our bandwidth. I'm going to accept that. That's what I got. And then the and says, I'm going to move forward in collaboration with the other people on my team, the other people in my industry, to move forwards towards solutions that make things better. Yes and. So this time, the first person will say once upon a time, and they'll say a sentence. And then I'd like the rest of the people, as you go around the circle, just begin your sentence with those 2 words. Yes, no matter what language you learned it in, is positive. It's non-argumentative. It's going to put you in a place where you can add instead of argue. And whatever language you learned it in is a conjunction. It leads to the next thing. Those 2 words will allow you to further the story faster and perhaps to broaden it into something that's less than just logic. So this one's going to be the time that you guys decided to do a community service project and you went and built a home for humanity together. Someone will start, and then remember to start your sentences with yes and. Go ahead. Yeah. All right, everybody, clap that out and you can return to your seats. Go ahead and go back to your seats. You can return to your seats, please. So we've got four microphones, 2 on either side. We just have a couple of minutes, but I'd love either some comments, some aha moments about mindset. We tend to think of these debriefs as, how did it feel, what did I learn, and how can I apply it to what I do at work? And so I'd love someone to stand up and either give us a couple of aha moments or ask a question. And I'm open book. You can ask me anything you want. Who's up? There we go. Thank you. And if someone else got another question, just get to another microphone so we can go.
So I'm mostly doing this because I feel for you, yeah?
Great.
And also, it's really important to be vulnerable. I mean, at the end of the day, if we don't spend the time being vulnerable, then we never stretch, we never grow. And I just appreciate that video. Like, thank you.
Yeah, it's vulnerable. I feel more than vulnerable. It's a great point. And so that's where I kind of try to ask people to turn the focus as much to what we do as supporters as much as we focus on idea generators. Because it's the supporters who create a safe environment for that vulnerability to happen. And sometimes you even hear that word, you think, and you see what I did or whatever, you think vulnerable, to be embarrassed, to show flaws. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I think it takes vulnerability to come up with a new idea, to say, hey, that's the status quo, we're going to do something different. To look at the trends, but also have a gut and to express that gut. To maybe disagree with the person who's responsible for our career path for the sake of innovation. All those things are vulnerable. And what I've seen is cultures who allow people to be vulnerable then can expand and get more out of that person. As innovators, we want everyone to share everything of them, not just the filtered stuff they think will pass legal and make our boss happy. We want everything to come out. A couple more insights or questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to say that the idea of just accepting ideas and celebrating them without judging them is a real good takeaway from this. I think there's too many times you're in a boardroom and you're thinking about ideas, but you start judging them before you've actually really thought about them. So I just think that it's a really good takeaway to ideate and celebrate without judging and then work your way through those ideas.
Awesome.
And then also, I'd like to know if you could do the dance again.
That'll be later. That's well after lunch. So here's the thing. Remember, I run a comedy theater that writes and rehearses shows and then has to bring those shows to market. And if we have a show that on opening night most of the critics dislike or most of the critics like, that can be up to a 50% swing in sales for the next 12 weeks. And so to your point, it's really important to have that culture of accepting all ideas for a segmented part of the process. And that's sometimes where I get argument. They're like, you don't understand, I work at Medtronic and we make pacemakers. We can't just go, yeah, that's a great idea. It's not like the FDA is going to approve it. Well, I'm not talking about saying yes to every idea throughout the entire process. I'm talking about the first 5%. And I hope that in your innovation process, the goal of that first 5% is not to create perfect ideas, but to create disparate and volumes of ideas, because that's the data we're going to pull from to be able to find the true innovation. And that's what we have to do at our theater. We come up with 600 one-sentence ideas. The next phase is we write 125 one-page scripts. Then we cut it down to 50, then to 30, and on opening night, 25 sketches or songs make it to market. It's a funnel. But if we don't allow people to have the freedom and the safety of knowing their idea won't be judged initially, we'll never, ever fill the top of the funnel. One more insider question, please. Thank you. Yes. Woohoo!
So this is kind of a small insight, but I guess no idea is a bad idea, right? So the one thing that I noticed was it's contagious. So if one person does it, one person puts himself out there, it's more likely that the next person will feel empowered and encouraged to do the same.
Yeah, and it's just the way it happens. I mean, you've probably all seen some of those videos. You've seen the one where the first guy starts dancing, and that's okay, but then the second person comes and dances, and then everybody comes. It's kind of like a smaller version of Woodstock. It's a bunch of, and they seem mildly drugged up, which really helps collaboration, by the way. But you're exactly right, and what happens is an exponential sense of safety. And so where does that start? A culture of one. You. And if you are a culture of one, that not necessarily is a great idea generator, but that treats others' ideas with respect, that treats others' diversity with curiosity and appreciation. Wow, you think different than me. We could build something together. If you think the same as me, we'll probably build what we both think we should build. And so it is contagious, and it's a great word. It's like a good virus. This person does it to another person. Now there's two of them doing it to each other. Now there's three. Now there's a department. Now there's a culture. And it's the one thing I recommend when I hear this a lot. Oh, I get what you're saying, but you don't know where I work. You don't know who I work with. They're all a bunch of no-but people, and there's no way if I was a yes-and person I'd fit in. Well, A, if that's the truth, why the hell are you working there? But if it's not the truth, which is usually the case, then simply take it upon yourself to act the way you want the company to be. Culture of one, culture of two, culture of three. So I'm going to come back and we're going to do one more at the end of the day to kind of send you off and have some fun. It's the kind of most goofiest one that we do. It's lots of fun. But I just wanted to end with really what we were trying to do is to have you consider that your mindset really is important and it plays a role in how productive you are. To be able to know that you can choose your mindset, and that's just by choosing to behave in a way and practice a certain amount of things. And then third, that I hope you take responsibility or accountability not only for your careers and your family, but today for this conference, that you're going to practice behaviors that will make this conference more collaborative, more safe, and watch that contagious happen. And if you can do that, then it'll be a better conference than if you didn't do it. So on behalf of the Brave New Workshop, thank you for the business. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to the tech guys and gals. And thank you for listening. I hope you have a yes and day. Take care, everybody.